Okay. We're working on the tech stuff. Actually, Dan is. He's amazing. So good evening. Call the meeting to order. And can everybody rise for the pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. To my right is Sue Messina, our most seasoned council person. To my left is Dan Reynolds, our new town attorney, Robert Green, another council member, and Steve Donnelly, our last member that is here in attendance. Glenn Miller is sick at home. He was trying to zoom in, but he's not going to be able to vote, and he's not feeling too well right now. So he was going to try to participate, but he's not going to be able to. Things are going around if you hear my voice. So anyway, let's proceed on. So the approval of the minutes. So motion approving January 10th, 2023 minutes of the regular meeting of the town board.
So moved.
Seconded.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it's carried. There aren't any bid openings. There aren't any public hearings. And now we go to the section where if you had a question, issue, or problem, you can say in just a minute. I just want to make a few announcements before we start. So I'm going to use my privilege to put out a few things. So first of all, I want to thank our town employees who work out in the cold and the crazy weather all the time. And I know we all appreciate it, but they never get thanked. So I want to thank especially our highway staff that was out there in the snowstorms and trying to prevent it from icing up. Our water and sewer people who were out there in all kinds of crazy weather, and then especially with the water main breaks in the middle of winter, it's very hard, it's very tough, and they're out there all the time making it better for us. And our police department, who's out there every night in the cold and in all kinds of weather, trying to make it safe for everybody as well. So I just want to put that out to them and to everybody. Now, some things I'm going to put out too. We are trying to make a lot of improvements, and it's going to be a work in progress for a while, but we're really starting the process. But most of all, we need some help. So we are setting up 3 new committees, and we're hoping for volunteers. So the first one is a comprehensive plan committee. When we move forward in Vestal, we need to have a plan about where things are appropriate. We want businesses, we want a good economy, we want things to progress, but we want to do in a way that helps our residents and doesn't hurt them. And so going forward, we want to set a committee of volunteers, and we want to get it together to look at the broad spectrum. Eventually, they'll come up with a concrete plan, but I really want them to start right away to start to think about where things would be good, like where would it be great to develop business with the least impact on our residents, and where solar would go, and all kinds of good things. And some of our residents are also interested in different kinds of housing alternatives. But again, we want to make sure that our residents that already have their houses and their life in place are impacted in the least possible way, and we get the most benefit for it. So we need to have an overall picture. So if you're willing to volunteer, we are hoping for people from all different viewpoints. So we want business owners, and we want residents, and we want anybody who's interested with different perspectives so that we can take everybody into an account. We want to move forward, but we want to make it a better Vestal, and we want to make sure that our residents are protected. So if you will volunteer for the committee, please email me direct, msexton@vestalny.gov. And we will certainly get back to you, and we can welcome all the help that we can get. Another thing that we're going to be looking at, and we're going to set up a committee for as well, is the possibility of allowing dogs in more parks in Vestal, and the possibility of a dog park. Now, as you know, more brains are better than one. More perspectives are better. And going forward, we've been very clear, Glenn, Robert, and myself, and I know the other two board members are on board with the fact that we want to hear your voice more, every resident in Vestal. And so we're trying to set up the mechanisms to make it happen. But I think that we're making progress. And we can get our technology squared away, um, we want as much input as possible. But for now, we want to get a committee set up to look at the possibilities. What park would be best for a dog park? What kind of dog park would it be? What would the rules and procedures be? And if we do decide to introduce allowing more dogs in more parks, then we want community input as well. So we want to brainstorm the ideas in the committee. We want to get the possibilities out there. Then we want to put it out to the general public. And we want to see what everybody thinks. So we're going to start electronic surveys as soon as possible as well. So we're setting it up. We're putting things in motion. But if we can get volunteers for that committee, we would really appreciate your help. And the third committee that we want to set up is to help with our website. Okay, we would love people who are tech savvy and know computer programs. However, you don't have to. Dan Williams is our IT person, and he's actually the only IT person for us right now. And he's absolutely amazing. However, to revamp the website means really reimagining it. And we've looked at Endicott's and Johnson City as models, but you don't need any tech skills or experience to know what frustrates you on the website. And so we want everyday residents like myself, not tech that can use technology, but can tell us specifically what sections are not working properly. So if you're willing to volunteer your time, we want to set up a committee because Dan's request is not only help with stuff, but his request was very specifically what's not functioning on that website. What would be better? And then we also want to look at what would be a better overall layout for it. So if you are willing and able, and remember, with these three committees, we have all different kinds of options now. You can meet in person, there's possibility of Zooms. It doesn't mean necessarily that you always have to be at a physical meeting. It would be dependent on the committee, what they feel is best. And it's really just a group of people working together for a goal to make things better for all of us. So I hope that people will volunteer for those committees. Anybody might be interested in any one of the committees, please, once again, email me direct through the website, vestalny.gov. And we will definitely get back to you. Okay, but we hope that we are going to be able to make it better, but we're going to need help with the process, and we want your input because what we may not think of, you might. And as we start to consider different things, we want to make sure that the residents have a say as well. Again, we're trying to get the website up and running. We're trying to get the technology up and running, but we want to get that communication better going forward. And looking forward once again, we're also looking for a grant writer. So in doing so, if you have the skills and you might be interested in a job, or if you know somebody who might be interested, we need an experienced grant writer because going forward, we need to look at how we get things, but we need to find money to do what we would like to do. So any help that anybody could give us, or if definitely put the word out, we would appreciate that as well. And once again, they can just email me direct and we'll field it out from there. So one thing also that was brought up this week was that there was a fire department vote, and we know our volunteer firemen are so important to us. We have 52 square miles. We have 4 different firehouses, and all of our people are volunteers. And they give of their own time, they give of their energy, off hours. I responded myself to a fire on Front Street at 12 o'clock midnight, and all the volunteers were there working hard throughout the night. The residents are safe. Unfortunately, the home is destroyed, but they were out there trying to help people throughout that night. No, they're not paid. Okay, they volunteer their time and effort. They do everything that they can. And we want to support them, but we as residents and taxpayers deserve to know when there is a money vote on anything. And so in consultation with the new governance committee chair, which will be governing the fire department this coming year, we agree that all votes, we know we're going to do it as a town board, all votes for the fire department, anything important that would entail public input, or funding for that matter, we'll be making announcements here. We're going to get it on the website as well. And I'm hoping to also expand the website with the capacity of blast emails or possibly an app. So we want to make sure that as many people as possible are notified when something is up and coming that you might want to participate in. Okay, so going forward, we're going to try to make it better. We're working on the website, and hopefully if we can get volunteers for the committee, we can start to work on that. Okay. Now, does anybody have any questions or comments from the public? Yes? Mhm. Okay, Ms. Fitzgerald, I'm sorry. Can you just go up to the mic because it goes on the Zoom, it's going to get recorded? You don't want to? Okay, so okay, they're not going to be able to hear you on the video. That's all I'm saying.
I put up the minutes of January 10th. And it states that Mr. Miller stated that it was very important that the previous administration did start the process to get these people, the two new officers, on board, and that the previous board pulled the rug out underneath them. That's a lie. Then it says that he was for this. But then I pull up the minutes of December the 6th. And it says that the previous board appointed these two officers. When is the truth going to come out?
Okay, once again, I said at the last meeting, and I'll say once again, the two officers have been hired. That was not correct. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
But prior to your last meeting, they weren't hired until someone buckled on this board. The truth needs to be out that it wasn't the previous board who wanted these people not to get hired. It was this board.
They were hired. So, yes, correct. Yep. And mhm.
Like everyone in this room has probably lived here when we had Supervisor, their brother, Supervisor Mashaka, Supervisor Starzak, Supervisor Ingrisi, Supervisor Schaefer. Then all of a sudden, you have yours as supervisor, and now the town is so far in debt that it isn't funny. Your board, who are your board members? When none of you new people showed up to any of the budget meetings. Why not?
Okay. Okay.
Our residents
Mhm.
should have a chance again to have our budget that was presented from last year's board shown to these people again. And have our comptroller come in here and explain it to them. We had the best comptroller in New York State
Okay.
working for us.
Okay. We have to move on. And and if you give me a chance to answer all the points that you made, I'll try to do that.
We had the best comptroller in New York State that worked. She even worked with our comptroller that's here now. And all of a sudden, our town is that far in debt. Our residents need to know. Our residents need to know why on that board. Not by you sitting there saying, oh yeah, we're so far in debt.
Yeah, and it's going to be published as soon as the final accounting is in. Right now, I'll tell you the specifics if you're ready. Are you good? Okay. So the specifics are right here. So I had said at the previous meeting, and I didn't put out the numbers again because we found more money that was promised and was not paid for. So basically, we're now at the number about 5.5 million that we do not have in hand for capital improvements and a shortfall of the pool money of $1 million. So we don't have $1 million of the pool money that was promised. We are trying hard to get it. Our personnel are reaching out. We feel confident that we're going to be able to get that $1 million. We're just finalizing everything, but we do not have it yet. So we do not have that $1 million that we should have had by this point. And hopefully we're going to get it. Then we have $1.25 million that's going that is for the engineering. And in the engineering, hold on, I got all the specs. So in the engineering, that is the payment, which is, I believe, 5 and 15% of the total amount for each project for the Main Street Bridge and the Rail Trail Phase 3. Now, our town engineer and our personnel are absolutely amazing at finding grants for this money. So those projects were 95% and 85% paid for. So this is just our portion of it. We got amazing stuff. It was almost entirely paid for, but we have to pay that 1.25, and that's just not what's due this year. And just so that you're aware, our engineer has a whole list of projects that he is always involved in. Every project takes an unbelievable amount of time to complete. So it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of grants, it's a lot of planning, unbelievable engineering. There's all different phases. There's consultant phases. There's layout phases. I'm using the wrong terminology, but basically there's all these different phases. So it takes a very long time. Those are just the 2 projects of the many that are in the works that we have to pay for this year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're getting it. We have the construction. It is what it is. Most of it was paid for, but we still have to pay 1.25. Paving roads. Paving roads is incredibly expensive. So just our basic roads, which is really, and Craig always tells me to be careful what I say because he does everything so well and keeps track of everything. But and he does things unbelievably cost efficiently, but they're just so expensive. And so basically one long country road costs $500,000 to do. And a number of side streets, and again, depending on the cost of the product at the time, he does absolutely as much as he can do, and that's another $1 million. And that's the bare minimum of the maintenance on the roads. So we have, the only money that we have in the budget is built in just for patchwork. If we do not, this is a capital improvement. So therefore, there's no money for paving in the regular budget. And getting back to Patty's point is that all of this money came about and was not included in the regular budget. So the budget that you see on the website doesn't include any of this. So not the 1.25 million, which we should have planned to pay for, paving of the roads, which is a given that we should have to pay for. We also have to replace a culvert. One of the culverts, I believe, is being fully paid for us, but this one is in very bad shape and we have to replace it, and that's $250,000. So then pieces of equipment were ordered, believed to have been paid for, and again, our staff is amazing and had guarantees that it was in the budget, it was paid for. It absolutely wasn't, and the trucks came here and the piece of equipment came here, and there's no money for it, and that's another $1 million. And so they're ready for us to pick it up. But we have nothing in the budget for it. And then another $500,000 of equipment that we really need. So we don't have a final list of the equipment that we need because we're going to peter that down as much and put off as much as we can. Craig is absolutely wonderful with the highway department and the parks department. He picked up the Greenway. The Greenway, we got handed that for the state and suddenly we had to clean it and we had no equipment to do it. And the only alternative is hand shoveling. So we just, and we're going to vote in for tonight of 2 pieces of small equipment to be able to do it. So he has been taking care of our section of the Greenway. And as we all know, when we are responsible for it, if somebody slips and falls, it's on us, on our conscience, but on our pocketbook as well. So we have to do it. So he is just amazing at stepping up. So, and we're going to try to minimize this as much as possible. We're going to try to find the pool money, but you know what? You need to plan ahead. And unfortunately, the last administration did not account for any of these things. And these are a given every single year. And that will be different going forward. So when we come to budget time and we say, you know, we need to plan better, yes, we need to plan better. We need to plan for the road paving. We need to plan for some equipment that we know that we're going to need to have. We're going to need to plan for unexpectedness, so we cannot touch those reserves. We know we need to be responsible and accountable. And as soon as we get a final list of that equipment that we're actually going to land up being able to afford this year, we're going to post that as well. But we haven't finalized it because we're still going through and we're double checking to make sure there's nothing else outstanding. It is unbelievable to me that this has occurred, but it's okay because we are going to do the bonds that we need to do this year, but we cannot rely on bonds anymore. The interest rate on, it used to be years ago when you bonded, the interest rate was so low. Not the best way of planning a city, not the best way of spending, but now the interest rates are so high. It is so expensive to borrow money on bonds that you do it when you have to for these huge projects, not for everyday stuff. There has to be an accountability. There has to be a planning. And so what we have done is we're going to improve it. Every one of our department heads, who are all fantastic, they're sitting down and itemizing their budget and they're figuring out, we're helping them with the format, and going forward, that will be a public consideration every single year. But all of their budget will be literally down and itemized absolutely as much as possible, so that every board member and every member of the public can see for themselves what things are really expensive and we really can't change, and other things that we need to find other ways of doing the fun stuff that we want to do. But you know what? We're going to do it. We have other models, other towns do it in ways that don't cost us so much, and we're going to get it done. Our residents want certain things, and we're going to figure it out. But we're going to figure it out together. I've looked at a lot other models, and other towns do things much more cost effectively and get the same exact things done. So we're going to go there. Our engineer is absolutely fantastic. Our employees are absolutely fantastic. Our department heads are, and we're all going to work and we're going to do it and we're all going to do it. But this year, when we do the budgets, everything is going to be itemized. It's going to be completely public and everybody's going to see it and is going to have a say in it as well. It's going to be a little bit more of a process, but I know every year the board members worked on it, you know, diligently as well. But this year we want the public involved as well. Sir? Mm-hmm.
My name's Dave Chairman, 923 Jones Road. I want to make some comments about the fire district. I understand we discussed at the last meeting. I wasn't able to stay for all the comments. I'd like to make some new comments today. And first and foremost, I want to make it perfectly clear, I'm not making any disparaging remarks about our fire department. This is about the democratic process, not the firefighting process, two separate things. I understand that you and your colleagues are new to the board and board management, can't be held responsible for water that's under the bridge, but for better or worse, you now have to clean up any damage from that water. You ran under the moniker democracy, real democracy for Vestal, and we're going to hold you to that. And in my opinion, the fire district is an example of incomplete democracy. And I hope as you take this opportunity to reform the fire district, and my understanding is there's some sort of divorce involved, but as you develop the rules of the road for the new fire district, you'll take some of these comments to heart. And my comments are prompted by the special fire district election that occurred last Tuesday that I, of course, found out about on Friday. And that was pretty upsetting. And Ms. Sexton was reported by WBNG on the subject, and my comments would address the election procedures and budgeting. With respect to those special elections, and I'm not a lawyer, New York Town Law, Section 179, does say that special district elections to vote upon appropriations by the fire board can occur. And I believe that in my discussions with people involved with that election, that they followed the letter of the law in holding that special election. I don't think there's any question about that. But I want to also note that those minimum legal notifications resulted in 83 people out of approximately 20,000 legal voters in Vestal voting to spend $2 million of public tax dollars. And that's less than 0.5% of the voters in the town. Now, section 179.3 of New York State Town Law also says, and I quote, "The special election shall be held on a Tuesday, provided that such a date is not a public holiday, and shall be conducted and scheduled in a manner that maximizes voter participation." I don't think anyone can look me straight in the eye and told me that that election was conducted and scheduled in a manner to maximize voter participation. So we don't want a minimum democracy, we want a maximum democracy. And the letter of the law, again, I'm not a lawyer, but it specifies the minimum bar you have to meet. There's no maximum to what you can do. So I propose specifically that all special elections and referendums, this applies to the fire district, the school district, the library tax district, all those elections should occur either on primary day in June or on election day in November, when you get the maximum turnout for other reasons. Okay? And I would say that should include the election of the new fire commissioners for the new fire district, rather than having a separate special election in December. Use election day to do that. Now, I've been told that that's illegal because election day, my understanding, is itself a holiday. So if that's true, then we're in an insane catch-22 that special elections may not occur on holidays, yet election day is a holiday. And that sounds to me to be ridiculous. So if you proceed with holding a special election on election day, you may be sued because election day is a holiday. But if you don't hold special elections on election day, you will be sued for that for not maximizing voter participation. So I think that's a tough political line to walk. Somebody with a higher pay grade is going to have to decide that. But I suggest we go with election day, and that will surely maximize participation. And I did check with the Broome County Board of Elections, and they said that the town board may pose any question on the ballot as long as the board receives the certified text of that proposal by 3 months before the election, which I believe is August 5th. So those proposals can be included, any other proposals you want can be included on the ballot. And if your proposal fails in an election with a reasonable turnout, that's okay. It just means that you have to educate, explain, and make your case better. That's the democratic process. Slipping things past in the dark of night is not. Now, when you were asked about that special election, WB&G quoted you as saying, "Town Supervisor Maria Sexton said the fire tax wouldn't be increased. It's already built into the fire budget." And I think words matter, and words have power, especially in politics. So it's not built into the budget, because if it was built into the budget, we wouldn't need a special appropriation for it. So by definition, it wasn't in the budget. And now I hope you're saying that the fire tax will not be increased from 2024 to 2025. Although I'm not sure with the divorce of the board and the district, if you even have the power to say that. From 2017 to 2024, about 8 years, the average yearly increase in tax levy for the town was about 1.2%. So your taxes went up about 1.2% every year, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, 1.2% over 7 years. The highway tax, another tax we pay, went up about 1.5%. The fire district tax went up on average 8.5% every year for the past 7 years. Okay. And the total increase, if you look just from the budget in 2017 to the amount in 2024, the town went up 8.34%. So you say, well, you know, from 2017 to 2024, the town's budget went up 8.5%. The fire district budget went up 75% in that time period. And these are just my numbers, downloaded from the website, back of the envelope. Somebody can check those for me. But that's a huge increase.
Okay,
Okay.
Mr. Taylor.
Average inflation in that time period was 22%.
Mr. Taylor, I know you have a lot to say, and
I'm almost done.
and you have a lot of, yeah, okay.
I'll-
Thank
I'll-
you.
I'll-
I
I'll-
appreciate it.
I'll be quickly.
I'm listening though. Thank you.
So I want to know if anyone has stood up at these meetings and said, do you realize that your taxes on the fire district have gone up 75%? And it's okay if you stand up and say they went up 75% because we built a new firehouse, Firehouse 4, and we wanted to buy this truck, and that's okay. But somebody has to be able to, the people have to be able to inspect that and question that. And doing it in a separate process, in separate meetings, doesn't happen. Nobody shows up at fire district meetings. We only have a few people here at a town meeting. So let me just conclude. It is easier to get things done when there's lax supervision and special elections when nobody shows up, to which no one shows up. But that's not democracy. You have to work hard to convince us you're doing the right thing and get our permission to do big things. Again, I think all elections should be held either on primary day or election day. Maximize participation, and then the minimum notifications that you're required to do by law doesn't mean that you can't then do emails, texts, website postings, postal flyers if we have to, whatever it takes. And I think lastly, the board, this board, and maybe the fire district board, depending on how the relationship works, needs to take a look at these various taxation authorities, right? We have the town, forget the county, we have the county, but we have the town, the fire, highway, and the library, and the school district. All of them running separate private elections and separate rates of taxation. And I understand that's done for administrative purposes and budgetary purposes, but we only have one checkbook that we pay taxes with.
I'm just,
I will finish. And so you need to provide a summary document of all of those budgets and how it affects taxes, because that $2 million fire truck should have been held up against the $2.6 million rail trail project. And we might have to say, we can't do both in a year. Which one are we going to do? That's what budgeting is. And if you have separate entities doing this, you can't do that.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. I know you had a lot to say, and you had very, very good points. Going forward in the meetings, we're just going to ask for a shorter time frame, but you had a lot to say. So if I may say so, I agree with you. I agree that everybody has a right, and I had said it before, and I'll say it again. We're going to publicize everything as much as we possibly can. In terms of the logistics, I don't know whether the elections can be, but I agree with you. They would be better on a full election time, but I don't know what the legalities are.
So
And lastly, we're going to have to wrap it up and move on, because everybody else is I'm sure they're listening to you, but we do have to move on to our agenda. But I agree with you in every way. I'm going to do my best to publicize them as much as possible. Technically, the fire department, in reality, the fire department and the regular budget, and I heard your last comparison, we are going to soon be completely separate. The governance committee is separating right now. So they will be independent, governed by the governance committee for this year. And then following that will be completely dependent on their own. However, hopefully we work together going forward, and maybe we can communicate about what to budget and when, but it's just so different and so separate. But I do agree with you also that people need to be very aware of the different taxation rates, and they should be involved in every department that taxes them separately, because they should go and their voice should be heard in other venues, whether it be the schools or for the fire department as well. So if, I really strongly, as much as I strongly encourage people to come here and to go online and to talk to us, I hope that they also will go to school board meetings and go to fire meetings and participate there and voice their opinion there as well.
okay, but if the fire district has an attorney's opinion that they cannot have the election on election day, then we need to have the town attorney lock them both in a room and settle that dispute.
I
Because
can,
they can't both be right. So
well,
I'm
I
counting
mean-
on you.
we can
We need to
certainly.
explore that issue. We can't just take it as a given, right?
Okay, Mr. Sheenan, thank you very much for your comments and for your opinion. I do appreciate your being here. And we will continue to talk about those issues as well.
If I may add, just so you're aware, the next fire district meeting is February 28th at 5 PM. We just had it, start an hour and 35 minutes ago and conclude about 40 minutes in.
Okay,
Just
so
to
yeah, I
help.
strongly advocate that everybody goes to all the different meetings, whether it be school board meetings, everybody pays school taxes, and to the fire meetings as well.
But
So,
the issue
mhm.
is that if they're elected officials and they're their own entity, then they should be elected on election day like you guys are. Having it as a separate election reduces the impact
Yeah.
of the democracy.
I agree, and we can see it directly, even if we publicize it more with the turnout. So I 100% agree with you. If it's possible, I think it absolutely should be explored, 100%. Okay, anybody else have a question? Yeah.
You stated that the highway department,
Mm-hmm,
they got,
mm-hmm.
what equipment they got something, but Greenland.
Mhm.
That it, money that wasn't thought about or budgeted.
It was not budgeted in the budget.
I think the Miller ordered that equipment.
It might have.
Or they authorized the bond.
I don't know on those, it was just 2 trucks and it was 1 piece of equipment that was not budgeted. This was the unexpected part of it. The other equipment, the 500,000 that was requested, that was new acquisitions. He was authorized, whether there was a resolution at the time, it was the prior administration, I'm not really sure. Whether they, perhaps, if anybody remembers. Um, well, I was not. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
Now, there's other equipment. Also. That bond-
yeah, not specific. Yeah,
I don't-
Mhm. yeah, yeah. But yeah, there were no bonds issued for that particular equipment that I said was unaccounted for. So there was, yes, it was authorized for them to order it, and it was expected that it was budgeted for, and it was promised that it was budgeted for. It was just not included in the budget. And once again, let me reassure everybody, we will do the bonds this year because we have to. Okay, but we need to do better going forward. We will manage it. We will get through it. We will minimize it because we're going to take a second and a third look at the equipment that maybe we can put off for next year. But the stuff that's already ordered is actually already arrived. We don't have a choice about. We do need that equipment, and we have to pay for it. So we will manage it. We will make the bonds. We will do better next year. I know that it boggles my mind as well that they did not budget for any of the necessary stuff that we needed that I read off. So in doing that, we won't do that next year. So everything will be on the table and we will do better. Because you need to plan for everything. And you need to do that before you vote on an entire budget until you know that you can pay for everything, no matter what. And it needs to be as public, transparent, and with as much public input as possible. Okay? That's the best I could tell you. Does anybody else have any questions or issues? Mhm. Mhm.
Real quick,
Sure.
I've been a resident my whole life. My parents been here.
Mhm.
I've been at the same staff.
Mhm.
I have a lot of customers. And a lot of them were, as board member Miller
Mhm.
brought up last week ago. It's up and down. We're gonna cut them, fire them, we're gonna hire them. Now they're hired. Now we're wondering about if they're gonna stay in the schools, gonna hire people in the schools, we're all going through all this. But a lot of the customers are hearing things that, I wish Councilman Miller was here because he said if you have rumors, I had a good rapport with every board member, from several years back. I'd call them, they'd answer questions. But now I've decided that this year I'm gonna do something different. I'm just gonna come to every meeting that they give me questions and I'll ask the questions every 2 weeks. And then that way it's out in the open and everybody can hear it. And last 2 weeks ago, when I was here, you did say that we were 4 million, a little over $4 million in debt. And now it's already gone up over $5 million in debt. But in that thing, my customers have now heard that cell phones are being given to the town councilmen, laptops are given to the town council people, and now there's a gas card and a car being used on all paid by Vestal. Now, where's that come with all the money that we're behind?
Well, councilmen have had tablets, so it's just a transfer from one councilman to another, basically. And supervisors always had a car. And actually, I did a car stop just this morning on the way in because somebody was driving the wrong way on the Vestal Parkway. I'm also the incident commander, so if God forbid there's another emergency incident, I have to be there. So I responded to the fire. Was it last week or the week before in the middle of the night? So I actually do emergency response. And I'm not sure previous supervisors always did, but in case, God forbid, there's another major incident, I am the incident commander. I have to respond. If there's a major snowstorm and we have to get the incident command center up and running, I have to get there. And luckily, ironically, I keep finding out things I've done like a lot before. I have been an incident commander. I've deployed hundreds and thousands of personnel at a time in the NYPD. I have run command centers. I have responded and dealt with demonstrations and emergency situations and water main breaks and, and riots for that matter. So I know how to handle personnel. I know how to do that task. Nobody's getting a cell phone at this time. Our main budget is in place. And so within that budget, we can barely probably scrape together, keeping the reserves at the minimum, basically, is money for a grant writer. And that grant writer is priceless in terms of acquiring more money and the ability to do stuff going forward. So that's a small investment, but we're not spending money. We do have the main budget in place. The SRO program, to correct a lot of information, those 4 officers are staying in place. The program is great. It's continuing on. And I just had a sit down with, and Sue Messina and myself with the school and superintendent this week. We're actually going to expand it. But they're going to try using, and I know Stace, who's the police chief, he owns that program. He takes great pride and in making sure that it is really absolutely excellent. And so what they're going to do is they're going to do 2 more officers, retired officers, handpicked, because we want the best people that are really going to be talking to the kids and engaging, as with any job and any position. They're going to find the right people. It's other departments run solely on the retired officers. And I know of one program in which it's run by the police department, same thing. I can say personally, from being a retired officer, it's a great gig because you get $40,000 to $45,000 on top of your pension that you already have. You get to engage; it's pleasant. You get to be with kids. You get to be proactive all day. You get to really make them safer every single day and teach them about safety and security, but in a very reassuring way. So you can do the exact same thing with retired officers if you have the right person coordinating the program and the right officers doing it. They are uniformed, they have the ability to do absolutely everything. They have the training of police officers. They already have their pension in place, so there isn't that cost involved. They have their health insurance in place, so there isn't that cost involved. The school pays half, so the school pays full for the pension people. And honestly, if for retired officers, it's great not only because of the engagement with the kids, but it's because if you have a family, you get out at a great time, you can be with your own kids, you can be with your own family. You get the summers off if you want them. And so you get to have the summers off with your family. You get the best of both worlds. You get the extra income. You get to be fully engaged. You get to be in a positive environment. You get to work with kids and you get to be with your family. So we're continuing on it. We're expanding it in a way that is cost efficient, but it will be done correctly because I won't stand for anything else. And I know Stace won't. So we will do it right. So it was the option so that the residents don't have to pay extra money, but yet we will still have 6 officers in the school, which is better than we would have had before. So we're trying and we're trying to do it smartly and wisely, but we want the best for our residents and for our kids. Sir?
Mike Belvin, retired police officer. How much money are you saving by doing that?
Well, right now,
Besides
Mhm.
your,
Mhm.
our active police officers doing it, hiring the retired. How
Well-
much are you saving?
Well, right now, I could tell you right now in the conversations with the school superintendent, once he gets an officer to assigned to the school, he does not want to let them go, which is fine because he's totally invested in the kids and so are we. However, if we assigned officers to a school, I will tell you that he will fight tooth and nail not to let them leave. The 2 officers that are hired will be in direct service to the rest of our community. We got the 2 additional officers. We will have the 2 additional officers for next year.
Hired guy, the guys you have right now, how much money are you saving? You're
We're not-
pleading poverty, that you need to save money by doing this, cutting this program. How much money are you saving by doing that?
We're not saving any money. We
So why are you doing-
we hired the 2 additional officers because the previous administration decided, thought that they wanted them. And so we honor that.
My son is one of the original SROs, okay? My son gets calls on a nightly basis, a weekend basis. He goes to people's houses. He goes to see the kids. He hugs kids, etc. I know probably 50 guys that have gone into this retired program because it's a cash cow, okay? Come Saturday morning, they don't want to hear from anybody. They don't want to, the principal calls, what have you, I'm done. I go there Monday through Friday. When I'm done, okay? What you're doing is you are sacrificing the quality of life of our children to save, like you just said, no money. So why are we doing it? Why are we not keeping these fellas and women that are there also to take care of our children? Are you kidding me?
Well-
Really? Are you kidding me?
To
To save what?
Mhm.
Save what? You just said nothing. You're not saving anything, right? My son and the other officers that are involved in that, like they sacrifice everything. They take their own time. They don't put in overtime. They don't do anything. They go and they take care of these. If a principal calls my son, he goes, I'll be there tomorrow morning and I'll talk to you. I'll talk to them, whether it be weekend, nighttime, what have you. Okay? I mean, I just don't understand the process of eliminating our police officers that are in this SRO program that take care of our children. There's not an SRO retired guy who's gonna run into that building and save somebody if there's some nutcase that comes in. I'm telling you, I worked it, I did it. Okay, there's not one guy who's gonna do it, unless it's our people that are already there. So I'm telling you what, I wanna go on record right now, shame on you for getting rid of our people that have grown up here, have sacrificed for the quality of life that we live for, to bring in some other people just to say, like you said, zero.
we didn't,
Right.
no, but
What?
that is incorrect.
What?
Nobody
It is
was
not
gotten rid of.
incorrect. You know what? You said you did your scheduling and all that stuff in New York City. You sat in the background, you did scheduling. You know, were
I
you
was a
out there?
patrol officer for my
Were you out
entire
there?
career. Yes.
So was I.
Mhm.
Okay, so was I. All right, so you know how, it
Okay.
is. Once you retire,
Mhm.
you're done with it, correct? Correct?
No,
You don't wanna deal
I
with
just
it
did a car
anymore?
stop this morning, sir.
Excuse me?
I just did a car stop this morning for
Just
safety.
did?
Yep. Mhm.
How'd you make out? How'd you-
Well, I stopped somebody from going the wrong
You
way on the
just said-
parkway.
You went on record and said it's not gonna save us anything by getting rid of these people.
Okay. I hear what you said, but what you said is incorrect. So our 4 officers are continuing, the program is continuing exactly as it is. We even expanded in a way to maximize our patrol capacity and maximizing our coverage of the school as well. So-
You're paid, these
Mhm.
people are paid, their salary, they get half the salary from the school district, correct?
Okay,
Right?
you made your
So
point,
you're gonna
right?
Take them away from that, and then, so you still have to pay those guys. So now you have to pay twice as much money for those guys, correct? Correct?
We hired the officers because the officers were promised a
That's
job.
insane. Here's my point. You have 4 SROs right now that their salary, half of their salary is paid by the school district, correct? So if you take
Okay.
those 4 guys away, you still keep them on the payroll, you have to pay their full salary now. Correct? Correct?
Sir, you made your points. Do you have anything else to add?
Well, you know, typical, just cut me off because I'm right.
I'm not cutting you off. I answered you.
Shame on you.
And I
Shame
put
on
forward
you. And
everything.
here's another thing I want to say. You're worried about, you're pleading poverty about how much money we don't have. I was at the last meeting where they talked about assessments
and you advise people how to fight the assessment. You fought the assessment and won your assessment, so that in fact decreased our tax intake. And you advise people to how to fight the assessment and that type of, so you're pleading poverty as to we don't have enough money, but then you're advising, including yourself, how to like beat the system and not pay the taxes. Here's my point, okay? If you need to raise my taxes to keep my SROs or police officers or fire department, raise it. How much is it gonna cost me? I don't care. It's a quality of life here in Bethel, okay? We're not from New York City, wherever that other fellow came from, we're not from there. It's a quality of life here. I'll pay more taxes. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. Raise them up, keep the quality of life the same. Protect our children, protect our people, protect our fire department. That's my point, okay?
I hear,
Cut me off. Thank you very much.
nobody cut you off.
Thank you very much, though. I appreciate it.
Okay, but going forward, once again, for full duty officers are staying in place exactly
You
as,
told that
and we
to- you
expanded
told
it.
us that at the last meeting.
Okay,
Now you
and
change your thing. You said our SRO
Okay.
program was
Sir,
gonna stay the same.
we can't argue
And
here.
now you're talking about hiring retired guys. Last meeting, you said
Sir,
the SRO
you can't
program was
continue
gonna
on.
stay the same.
Okay, you've made all your points, right? Is there anything additional you want to add?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. And going forward, yeah, yes, going forward, we're gonna do better and we're gonna do it as cost efficiently as possible.
You're going behind closed doors.
Okay, and we need to move on to the rest of the meeting, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments, but we need to continue on with the meeting for everybody. Okay, so let's go on to, so our next section, oh, I'm sorry, did anybody else have anything to question, ask, answer? Okay. So let's get the actual work of the meeting done. So we're moving on to Public Works. Steve, do you have anything on it?
No, I don't have anything on Public Works at this time, but I do have meetings set up with some of the folks. I do want to commend our Public Works department, though. Our highway department's amazing. They do a great job. I get blasted all the time for saying Vestal has the best roads when it comes to snow and snow removal, but I really feel like we do. And I want to commend our highway department for a great job at the early onset of the winter here.
Mhm.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then finance. So Sue or Steve, either one of you want to comment for finance?
Did you want me to read the items?
Yes, if you could.
Okay.
Thank you.
So there's a request to pay $400 for the Upstate New York Association annual membership dues for 2024. There's a request to pay $1,650 for the New York State Association of Towns annual membership dues for 2024. Request from Nick Angeline, Comptroller.
Okay, we're gonna take a vote each time. So, yep,
Well, I was gonna, at the end, ask for a
Yeah,
motion to accept them.
we're gonna do it each time?
Each one? All right.
Yeah. Okay, so,
So the request to pay $400 for the Upstate New York Towns Association annual membership dues for 2024.
okay, so, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Seconded?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, request to pay $1,650 for the New York State Association of Towns annual membership dues for 2024. This is the statewide association.
Okay, very good. And motion to approve
I'll make that motion.
and seconded?
Seconded.
All in favor
Aye.
Aye.
and carried.
Request from Nick Angeline, Comptroller. Oh, here.
Oh, no, that shouldn't be on the,
You did that.
okay, disregard that. That was just a discussion in the work session.
Okay, and there was a request to authorize appropriation of the fund balance. D 1011.1011 in the amount of $64,000 to add to D 5142.2100 operational equipment. These funds will be used in 2024 to pay for snow and ice removal equipment for the Vestal Greenway Trail.
Okay, motion to approve
Make a motion.
Seconded.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
and just as a note, those are the two pieces of equipment. We have to pull it from the reserves until we can do bonding. but we can manage it from the reserves and just replace it afterwards. That's for the Greenway, care of the Greenway. And we need that quickly for obviously the snow reasons. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, request from Daniel Reynolds, Town Attorney, for the Town Board to approve payment in the amount of $3,195 to the law firm of Coughlin and Gerhardt LLP for outside counsel fees for professional services rendered.
Okay, motion to approve
I'll
So-
make that motion.
and seconded
Seconded.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and carried. And that was just for payment. We have ongoing litigation for assessment cases and stuff. So, so when our town attorney, there are too many cases for the town attorney to handle. So when it has to be fielded out, those are the money allotments that we have to pay. So everything is reviewed and made sure that, that it was needed and, is appropriate. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, great. Request for Dan Reynolds, Town Attorney, for the Town Board to approve payment in the amount of $1,435.50 to the law firm of Coughlin and Gerhardt LLP for outside counsel fees for professional services rendered. I'll make that motion.
And
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And carried.
Request from Daniel Reynolds, Town Attorney, for the Town Board to approve payment in the amount of $270 to the law firm of Hancock Estabrook LLP for outside counsel fees for legal services rendered. I'll make that motion.
And seconded
Seconded.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Again, legal cases, ongoing legal cases for which I received a bill. And personnel. Steve, do you have anything on it?
Nothing on personnel.
Okay, thank you. And planning and zoning. Robert and Steve?
Yes, we have a request from Vern Myers for the town board to authorize the town supervisor to sign a consultant agreement with McFarland Johnson Engineers for preliminary design, right-of-way incidentals, and final design in regards to capital project Owego Road over Tracy Creek bridge replacement. Town's original estimate for this phase was $424,000. The consultant fee along with sub-consultants is under that number with $421,657.22.
Okay, motion approved? And seconded
Second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
And carried. And once again, that's one of the phases of a project. So each stage along the way, it will come to the board for votes. I think I said something. Okay, public safety. Sue or Robert, you have anything to bring forward?
I think we've pretty much covered it. at the
Okay,
meeting.
okay, true, yes. Okay, very good. Okay, so administration, and Robert, I think, and I don't know if you have something to say before, Dan's gonna speak to the item that's on the agenda.
Go ahead.
We're on, all right, so we're on 15.1.
Oh, no, we're not there yet. I
We're on
apologize.
12.
I apologize.
Oh, okay.
I skipped too fast. Go ahead.
All right, so we have a request from Betsy Gerner, Director of Community Relations for Stash Strong to hold their annual Stash Strong 5K run walk to benefit brain cancer research on Saturday, September 21st, 2024. Also requesting approval to set up A-frame posters at Four Corners, the rail trail, and Old Vestal Road to help raise awareness for this event. The race will be insured by Stash Strong. The town of Vestal would be an additional insured. I think we covered that where they're insuring it fully.
Mhm.
So that's different than what's written here.
Oh, so you want to amend it?
I would amend that.
That's fine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to.
Okay,
My
so-
apologies, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So they're
Thank you.
insuring us as well as themselves, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
The only thing that's requested beyond that is just officers for traffic control during the event.
we're adding.
We should add that in so it's known.
Why don't we consult or ensure that it's done if need be? Okay,
Sure.
so we won't add it to the actual physical. We can vote on this for now, and then we can consult with the police department because we don't want to vote on something until we consult on what is necessary, right?
Fair.
Okay.
So,
But we'll bring it up.
I get
Sure.
all the information out.
No, I appreciate it. Thank
I
you.
am not in administration, but I do want to say this is an event that we hold every year. It's a great event. It's raised a lot of money for charity, so I think it's a wonderful event. So just want to go on the record as saying that. So I think it's great.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you both. Okay, motion.
okay, I'll
Thank
second
you.
that.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
And it carries.
Steve, me. Donnelly, Messina.
Okay, and next section is just received warrants 2024-02-02-02A and 239 submission Town of Union. Just we're accepting them. So it's not a vote per se. Petitions and protests, we don't have anything on the agenda. Old business, we don't have anything on the agenda. Anybody wanted to add anything? And now we're getting to new business. And now, Dan, sorry.
I just want to clarify that, this resolution, it's 15.1.1. There is an ongoing case in Supreme Court. That is a assessment case. Thank you. There's an assessment case that is ongoing. I am going to get involved in that case as the new town attorney. There is a resolution 15.1.1. I just want to clarify that I do want to seek approval to sign the proposal provided by Congdon. The fee that is on the resolution is not due and payable. That will be due and payable at the time of the submission of the appraisal. However, I do at this time request and ask for a motion and second for approval to sign the proposal, enter into the contract.
Okay, so we're amending it. We don't need the money right now, is the essence, right? So we don't need the money right now. So the issue on the agenda was simply that we were going to pay for an appraisal on an assessment case. And so it's not needed at this time. So we're going to amend it, Deborah, to state, can you say that again?
I guess we'd have to, my suggestion
Mhm.
is that someone make a motion
Mhm.
to amend the resolution at 15.1.1 to allow for entering into a contract with Congdon Appraisals and to sign the proposal that has been presented to me as the town attorney.
Okay, so we're amending it to sign a contract, to go for authorizing you to sign a contract for an appraisal, but we don't need the money right now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to enter into the contract. So the motion is to enter into the contract for the, yeah. mhm.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. And second it,
Gonna,
and all in favor?
aye.
Okay, and carried. Yeah, separate. Yes, because the money's not being allotted right now, but we're gonna enter into the contract so that they will do it when we need it. Okay. Okay, and the next one is request from Vern Myers, town engineer, for board approval to sign a memorandum of understanding intermunicipal agreement for Stormwater Coalition of MS4, which is the municipal separate storm sewer system communities. The fee for 2024 is $4,500. So essentially, as it's explained to me, is simply that we need to do this because the county is in the midst of updating their computer system for that system, for the storm sewer system, which is separate from. Anyway, so it's all the towns working together to update the system so that they have this data system. And I know that soon, very soon, Vern is going to be working on, we have to do inspections, if that is the correct term, of every single basically what I imagine as, I'm sure it's not the technical term, of the manhole cover. So you have to go into the manholes, every single manhole in Vestal. In about 6 months is the time period, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the goal. The goal is 6 months. So it's going to be a physical inspection, but they're updating the data section. And all the municipalities are working together on getting this done. So, that is, do we,
I'll make a motion.
Seconded.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and carried. Okay, and, okay, so I think we covered everything else in the beginning of the meeting. But if nobody has anything else,
Adjourn?
okay, very good. And seconded,
Seconded.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
You gotta hold Bethel heart.
No, I, it was funny, it was funny, someone was talking. I didn't know about it.